Most people don't realize this about Mississippi. As someone from Mississippi, here's what I actually experienced. The people down here are 50-50. Basically, what I mean by that is 50% together and 50% divided. Yes, they pick and choose down here. And if you know, you know. Now, I do know that this video is finna piss a lot of y'all off. I can't be 1 in 10,000. Just sit back and let it keep happening. I am victim to a lot of white folks that love to pull their card, especially when they feel like they got the advantage. For example, a job. For example, at the dealership, apartment complexes. Like, you just gotta make it make sense. I can go on, and there's plenty more. The message that I'm trying to get through is Mississippi is not like the other states. It's a lot of racism going on where y'all live too. It's a lot of them still think that we back in the 1800s. And they really trying to do the modern day slavery. And y'all love to picture it as just not qualified. But who's gonna tell Jimmy the only reason he got in before Daquan did was because the fact I'ma just label his ass he knows somebody. A year later, cause you know it's always hard for us black people to get in at the same time. But a year later, Daquan got a full scholarship, running faster than Jimmy could ever be. That shit is built inside of us, man. And I don't care what you try to do. You can't stop this, man. This video is not for all. Genuinely, shout out to the ones that are trying to make a change and be on our side. And believe there is no difference between skin color, you and I. It's all love, brother. Welcome to Mississippi. Let me tell you something about Mississippi. What most people don't realize, and majority of people act like they don't see. Now, I've been posting videos on this all week about how hard black people got it down here. And if you scroll through the comments, you will see a lot of people saying, well, why don't you just leave? Why don't you just get your stuff up and go? See, here's the thing. A lot of us was born and raised in Mississippi. And the sad truth is all we know is Mississippi. It's like that saying, it's easier said than done. But eventually, I'm pretty sure, at a set point of time, we will get our things up and go. See, for me, there's two types of people in this world. The ones that let it happen and the ones that do something about it. You must not hear the words coming out of my mouth. These people are known to trap you in Mississippi through the system, through jobs, through financial hardship, and some even family and kids. I wish I could just pack my stuff up and leave tomorrow. But if you catch a dolphin out the water and throw him on land, do you think that dolphin is gonna eat land food? But it's a lot tougher than you think. Now, if you know me, I don't make excuses. It's gonna get done. But please, stop trying to make excuses for Mississippi and realize it's just a corrupt system down here. We shouldn't have to pack our stuff up and leave. Welcome to Mississippi. I uploaded a video yesterday evening explaining how black people have a hard time down here in Mississippi, and there's still a lot of prejudice, white people, and a lot of racism still going on down here. And it seems to me that my comment section got flooded with a whole lot of criticism. Now, if you can go back to my video and watch, disclosure was that wasn't for all white people. I made that video for specifically the people who know who they are. The ones that know that they treat us with slick intentions. It's like you can work around these people 24/7 and they'll smile, be all buddy-buddy with you like everything's okay. But the moment you turn your back, and some will even do it in your face, they will put you the fuck down. You saying wrong? Okay then, that YT person you know so well, let them get around their friends, and you will see how well they been hiding that shit with you. Cause I even had some of my brothers in the comment section. Sounds to me like you Uncle Tom. Now, I'm not racist at all. Don't get me wrong. I don't have no problem with white people. I don't have to prove it to you because the people who know me knows me. But welcome to Mississippi, man. Being black in Mississippi, part 3. You know, I just don't get why y'all so mad. This is a response to the last video that I posted about how much racism is in Mississippi right now. I've seen a lot of y'all in the comment section talking about, oh, y'all got black mayors, y'all got black vice presidents. Most of Mississippi population is blah, blah, 85% this and that. Let's take away from that for a second. It's not about the population, man. That's not what I was getting at. I was getting at situations like Nolan Wells. How cases dealing with black men all of a sudden undetermined. Just don't sit right with me, man. And the sad case is that's just some of it. For the people that ain't in Mississippi, you can save your comments. Because you don't know what it's like being born and raised here. You don't know what it's like being around a primarily all-white group and being the only black person there. Just your presence makes the whole situation feels like you're unwelcome. You don't know about that, man. But YT folks, if you brought your child to one of our functions, they wouldn't have no problem or feeling any type of way about fitting in with us. They all family. Welcome to Mississippi. Most people don't realize this about Mississippi or even realize what it's like being black. You want to know why they hate us so bad? Because we just better in all aspects. Sports, music, art, the way we wear our hair, the fashion. They just hate to see us in the spotlight. Their biggest fear is a black man walking in the room and all the attention shifts to him. And it's not so much of, who is this guy? They want to know how. And then they try to find out what they could do to stop it. Nolan Wells, he was the spotlight. And I don't care what you say. You can get mad. You can stay in the comment section. But they took away his spotlight. They didn't want him to be great. They didn't like the aura that he carried. We're just naturally good at everything. And here's the sad thing. We're not trying to do that. We're just being ourselves. And how can y'all have so much hate for somebody that's just being themselves? One thing about it, you might hear a lot about a black person killing a black person. But what you don't understand, push come to shove, forbid something bad happen. I guarantee you, the black community will stand up. Just like y'all thought the black community wouldn't stand up on this case with Nolan Wells. We ain't letting it go. Not gonna let it go. This will be history. Your kids' gonna hear about it. And their kids gonna hear about it. Because we deserve that recognition. We deserve for these cases to be solved and not undetermined. Whether he did drown, you still have to hold them accountable for leaving him. And that's what we're trying to get y'all to understand. Welcome to Mississippi. Here's what I believe after growing up here in Mississippi. Not only did I cover the topic about racism, but I also addressed the fact about the Nolan Wells case. I want to understand that all y'all might not agree. And it's not for all y'all to agree. I'm here to be honest. Speak on topics that y'all might be uncomfortable with. For me, all I want is answers. All I want is a good reason on why. We just all trying to get by, man. There is no reason. There is no reason. Y'all rather stay divided. You just hate to be in the same category as a black man, huh? What I really believe about being in Mississippi is that it will never change. It's gonna stay divided. No matter how hard you try to change that, it's gonna stay divided. But I got something to tell you, though. I got two main points that I want to make here right now for the ones watching. James chapter 2, verse 9. Showing partiality or favoritism is a sin. Remember, you don't have to answer to me. You got to answer to that man upstairs. Romans chapter 2, verse 11. God does not show partiality or treat one group better than another. As bad as it might seem, us black people love y'all because we have family members that are also the same color as y'all. Have you noticed that every black person support every race group just for them to turn their back on us? Tell me I'm lying. But stay tuned. Welcome to Mississippi. Here's what most people don't realize about being black in Mississippi. You right, that's me. For the people that don't know me, I go by the name Jay. For my social media platforms, I go by the name OD Inside You. And I've been covering this topic for about a week now. And those topics also include the Nolan Wells case. Now, I don't have direct insights on the case. Of course, I wasn't there. But we are talking about our brother. We are talking about a young man, a little bit younger than me, lost his life because he didn't know no better. And I'm going to tell you why. Ocean Springs has a percentage of 79.6% white people, 7.6% blacks. Now, I'm going to bring facts in it before I have to say what I have to say. Now, I know living in Mississippi, that is very true. I was working at a job out in Ocean Springs, Whataburger, and all the high school kids would come through there, pack the place out. I would consistently see 2 black boys every time. Never seen more than 5. And I would always ask myself, I wonder if they know any better. Because my mama put me on game a long time ago. Ain't happening. It don't got to be right then and there. It don't have to happen next week. But later on down that line, y'all, they wasn't your friends. They weren't your homeboys. You hear me? Homeboys. Pal. And one thing I learned about being a black man down here in Mississippi, they teach their kids and they give them lessons on how to hate us. Because it just don't pass down through DNA, right? From the moment that baby able to point and speak is when it all begins. See, they create this image for their child that they embed inside their brain about us black people. From the types of conversation that they had behind doors, the child picks up those conversations. And what does that child do? That child will grow up and go out in public and start using what he learned bits by bits. And that image that they created slowly starts to form. It starts to make sense to them. From the moment they see a black man with his pants sagging, the jewelry that we wear, the cars that we drive with the big rims on, the music that we listen to, has all been spoken about behind doors. This is Mississippi now. And sooner or later, the kid will go to a public school, make a group of friends, who parent taught them the same thing, had those same conversations behind doors, and then they click like this here, and then they form their own opinion. Now, I'm not saying that they sit their kids down, give them pen and paper, and physically teach them day by day on how to hate black people, but they give them habits, and those habits build up. They get mad, and what they always say when they get mad, Niagara Falls. And from the moment he said that word, he chose his journey. Hey, welcome to Mississippi.
First question here is Mississippi for how long? For how long do people keep crying? For how long do black people specifically? Let me not even say people keep crying. For how long do you guys make it look like black people are the real problem there in Mississippi? Why is it that every single headline is always relating to black people? And it is bad enough that the media cannot even carry out enough of information about all of this. It is now more bad enough that every single time it happens, we have one idiot out there that will keep saying, oh, let's forget about it and move on. For how long do we keep getting only one person to be doing that experiment or doing whatsoever autopsy without we achieving the maximum result of what we are supposed to be getting? It is honestly so sad that black people have to go through this every single now and then. I want to first of all say kudos to every single white person that have been able to speak out on behalf of this issue. I want to say kudos to every single white person that have taken this to their hearts to say, oh, we must get justice, because I have other clips I want you guys to watch so that you guys can literally see what some of these white folks are saying and why a lot of people are saying every single experience they have in Mississippi. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sonia. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. Credit to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in today's episode. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks, also joining my membership. I'd not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, let's dive right into this video. I'll be back with commentaries, and I hope you guys enjoy.
See, Mississippi is not actually Mississippi's problem. Mississippi is America's problem. Because if America wanted to do something about what has been going on in Mississippi, it could have stopped by now. It wouldn't have been in the past few years between 40 and 50 churches bombed and burned. You see, and this lead me to say, all of the burning and bombing that was done to us and the houses, nobody never said too much about that, and nothing was done. But let something be burned, by a black man, and then, my God, you see, the flag is drenched with our blood. Because, you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man, as we know this country was built on the black backs of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand it. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us.
Tasia Fortune, a 29-year-old black woman found hanging from a tree behind a vacant house in Jackson, Mississippi. The investigation's still open, the autopsy isn't out, and once again, the community is left staring at a black person hanging from a tree while officials stay quiet and the usual bullshit explanations start circulating. We've seen this movie. Mississippi has a long, bloody history of black people ending up hanging from trees and the official story being accepted way too fucking fast. Generational trauma is very real. And the method itself carries a specific kind of terror that most people in the community will tell you that they would never choose for themselves. So no, I'm not rushing to accept the official explanation. And until there's transparency, independent review, and answers that don't insult people's fucking intelligence, I'm gonna keep demanding answers. History earned that skepticism.
Fam, I talk about this shit every day. I speak up for black people every fucking day. But when I listen to this white girl, every 2 seconds I'm saying, she got a point. She got a point. She got a point. What the fuck? Why haven't I talked about this shit?
Stop. Black Americans are being hunted and murdered in Mississippi. I'm going to say that again because it's horrifying, and the mainstream media is too busy allowing the Trump administration to dominate the news cycle, lying about the economy, downplaying the war, ignoring the health outbreaks, and the upcoming healthcare cuts to take even a moment to talk about the Black people being targeted for death in the state of Mississippi. And before you say I'm being hyperbolic about this, if we had this many unexplainable deaths of white children happening in one state, you know the media would be losing their collective minds. One beautiful white girl was killed by an undocumented immigrant, and the Republican Party ran their entire election and then wrote an aggressive immigration bill in her name. But we are watching Black person after Black person after Black person lose their lives under unexplained circumstances, many of them being found strung up in trees, and no foul play is being called by the police or the medical examiner or any investigative reporters. I need you to stay with me on this because I understand this is very uncomfortable. But it is essential that we understand what is really happening, especially if you look like me, or you live in the South, or you have a family member, or you yourself are in law enforcement. When someone Black ends up hung for no discernible reason, in questionable circumstances, with no indication the victim was suicidal, that's what's called lynching. But when this happens in a state that refused to pass a standalone anti-lynching bill in 2026, the state that didn't ratify the 13th Amendment formally abolishing slavery until 1995, 130 years after it was passed by Congress, and didn't even make it official until 2013 because of a clerical error, when this kind of thing happens in the state that recorded more lynchings than any U.S. state between 1882 and 1968, with at least 581 documented racial terror killings, the only state that banned Sesame Street because they didn't like white and Black children being shown playing together, then you start to see a pattern and a major problem. The adults in charge of Mississippi seem determined to keep their generations of hate and division going strong, and people are dying because of it. We have endless media discussion and laws and attention paid to the 14 trans people who might want to play college sports in America. We have multiple made-up think pieces about the unacceptable rise of non-existent communism. But 10 Black people found hanging from trees in one state isn't a cause for concern? Why? We know why. And to be clear, it looks like at least 13 Black people have been found hanging from trees in this country since September 2024, most of them declared self-inflicted by authorities. But the Black community has been determined to point out that Black people do not hang themselves from trees, that historically that is something that has been done to them. And we know that because one of the most recent deaths was Tysa Fortune, who was found hanging so high in a tree that the authorities needed a fire truck to get her down. It's pretty obvious that girl didn't do that to herself. But who did? Who would be able to do such a thing? And why did no one see anything? Because that's odd, right? Especially when we can track pretty much anyone anywhere now with those horrible flock cameras. But in this case, nothing. And when these deaths are ruled a suicide, or alternatively, not foul play, no one ends up looking for the commonality between the deaths. Evidence isn't collected or compared. A pattern isn't established. If these hangings had been ruled murders or even cause of death unknown, then maybe there would be some progress in justice. But here, no, nothing. Remember, this is the same state, and in many cases, the same medical examiner who seemed incredibly cagey on the recent death of Nolan Wells, the brilliant, beautiful Black teenager who went missing and then was found dead after going out with his white friends on the 4th of July. The same white friends who came home without him, the same ones who can't get their story straight, and the same ones who one of their moms is a local judge. In fact, I think the country's preoccupation with the death of Nolan Wells is surprising to the powers that be in Mississippi, because Black people have been ending up dead in their state since forever, and things just move along, but not this one. Because the world is watching this one now, and there's a lot more questions than there are answers. Mississippi needs to be on every American's radar because Black people are being murdered there. Because there is no federal oversight on local law enforcement. Because so far, we don't even have media coverage or congressional action. As Reverend Whitfield of Gulfport, Mississippi, a very close friend of the Wells family, recently said, justice cannot thrive in the shadows. When an 18-year-old's life is lost under troubling circumstances, transparency is not a privilege to be granted. It is a public obligation. We owe Nolan Wells and his family and every citizen nothing less than a complete, impartial, and transparent investigation. Truth is the foundation on which justice stands. Every single person who ends up dead, no matter their creed, their color, their religion, whatever, deserves this kind of attention. It's just that Black people in Mississippi rarely get it, and none of us should be okay with that. There are people right now living among us who are lynching Black people. And if you know someone who is doing this, think someone might be doing this, have any information on what might be going on, then you need to speak up. And I understand that's hard in a state like Mississippi when it's often assumed that law enforcement and the justice system are complicit, but then go to the FBI. And I know the FBI is a shell of what it once was, but we cannot continue to do nothing. I would also like to remind you that in recent statewide elections, Democrats came within 3 percentage points of winning in Mississippi. Like many southern states, Mississippi is not red, it is blue suppressed, which means Mississippi is not irredeemable. But it needs our attention because this is what systemic racism looks like in practice. This is what happens when racism is built into a system brick by brick. And this is what must finally come to an end. The time has come to stop turning a blind eye. The time has come for justice.
Man. Fucking mind blowing, dog.
Speaking of Mississippi being behind the times in terms of race and racism, do you know what year the state of Mississippi formally ratified the 13th Amendment? The 13th Amendment is the one that abolished slavery. Nationally, it was 1865, but in Mississippi, it wasn't until 2013. 2013.
You know, every time somebody find out I'm from Mississippi, they ask me all these questions about racism. And that's cool, because I tell them the same thing I tell everybody, that racism is everywhere. But if I had to say, I would say the South, especially Mississippi, we got the best races out of all the races. Like, that old white man might look at you like this the whole time you there, but you can bet your ass better not nobody fool with his half-black grandbabies, and that's just that. And that white boy might have rebel flags all over his 1997 Ford Ranger, but I bet you he know every word of Dear Mama, and his mama do too. Hell, he probably got Tupac greatest hits on repeat right now. And that white man over there might have a pointed white hood in his closet, but you start talking about gun control and roll tide and go New York Giants, he will meet me there to tell you fuck no. And oh Lord, if you start singing the national anthem, it don't matter who you are, where you from. Them racists gonna stand up and sing with you, because goddamn it, go America.
Brother lives in good old Mississippi, and we had a long conversation today about this Nolan Xavier Wells case, the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. As I'm talking with him about it, he knew nothing about the case. He's not on social media. He doesn't really watch TV like that, so he was oblivious to this story. So I got him up to speed on the story, and as I'm telling him the story, before I could even get to the point that Nolan never made it back, he stopped me in my tracks. He was like, well, let me guess. He never made it back. They made it back to shore without him. I was like, exactly. He was like, nah, I almost got caught up the same way. He said he almost got caught up the same exact way with one of his coworkers. He was like, he had started a job, and unbeknownst to him, he didn't know that there was some like thick racial tension happening on the job, where he works in like warehouse environment, where at this particular warehouse, the manager or the person that they reported to is a black man. And he was like, the white employees have a real hard time taking direction, orders, or even having a authority figure being a black person. So it becomes very problematic because they don't respect the manager. And it just, as black people are watching these white people disrespect this manager, it gets them in defensive mode. So he's like, the racial tension within a company is thick when it comes to that. But he was like, you know, we from California, we're used to diversity, being from California, being from the Bay Area. we are used to being around all types of people. We were raised like that. We had neighbors to the left, they were Asian. We had neighbors to the right, they were black. Neighbors directly across the street from us, they were white. Our schools were very diverse, at least back during our, school years. It was very diverse in the Bay Area in terms of who we interacted with on a daily basis. But of course, when you come to the South, that dynamic shifts significantly. What people don't realize is in the South, the self-segregation alone within the South is insane. It's a lot of times it's in the deeper South, not only are you self-segregating, but you actually see racism. You encounter it on a daily basis in a lot of these deep South places. And my brother, he's in the Hattiesburg, Mississippi area. So he was saying that he was cool with everybody. He understood at some point that there was some racial tension, but at this point he had kind of was befriending, various groups of people within this warehouse. And he was like, I guess the white people took a liking to him, and they invited him out to go fishing. And he said he had to, respectfully decline the offer to go fishing, because he was like, what they not finna do, they're not finna set me up and get me out there and I don't make it back. He was like, it ain't going down like that. Whether that was their intention or not, I'm not a fool. I understand what's going on within this warehouse. Y'all can't even respect the black manager. You can't respect a black authority figure. I'm not finna be the casualty because y'all trying to prove a point for somebody on his job. He told me a story about a little boy from their neighborhood that came up dead. Little boy, a teenage boy, got into it with another little boy, a white boy. They were friends. They got, kids get into arguments, disagreements. The disagreements spilled over to the parents, and the parents got into it. Ultimately, the kids got over their issue and started back being friends, but the parents never really got over it, got over their thing. They were still bickering back and forth, but the kids out playing. Some time passed, he said, and the black boy went fishing with the white boys and a group of other white children, and he never made it back home. He never made it back home from them going on this water excursion fishing. I can't remember what he said they were going to the water for, but nonetheless, he never made it back home. They found his body days later, washed up in another body of water in Mississippi, because where they went, he said it has like a strong kind of current and it just pushed him downstream, and they found his body, and they ultimately ruled his death the accidental drowning. But he was like, we know it wasn't no accidental drowning. We don't believe that's what it was. We understood that there was tension between that boy's family and that the white family that he went fishing with, and they're patient. They probably can't get you when they want to get you, but as soon as you let your guard down, that's when it's gonna go down. He said he don't trust none of them there when it comes to it. It's the deep South, and a lot of people forget you are in the deep South. Ain't nothing changed. They just do it in a different way, and they got people, family, friends, etc. in high places that can get them out of anything. I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that it was that thick and it was that deep in terms of just what you experience on a daily basis, just on a work site when it comes to racism. And he was like, oh no, it ain't no game. He was like, it ain't no game down here in Mississippi. You got to be very vigilant. You got to be very cautious, have your eyes open, head on swivel. Look at things from a different lens. You you have to dissect everything he said, because what you don't think is something that you should be worried about is the exact thing you should indeed be worried about. So that's why you just got to keep your distance from them, because it can consume you, because now you think everybody out to get you. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that he shared with me. I told him he needs to go ahead and create a TikTok page and start telling his stories. He's been there pretty much all his life, well, at least all of his adult life for sure. And I'm like, you need to get on here and tell these stories, because these are interesting stories that he was telling me. He told me so much more that I just don't have time in this video to kind of go through it. But it was very eye-opening. I'm like, you need to get up out of there. You need to leave there. Because that's alarming if this is what you guys have to go through on a daily basis, especially when you're at the workplace, on job sites and stuff. But yeah, if you're in Mississippi, or if you've got stories, or you have family, drop in the comments and tell me what y'all experience has been, just being a Black person in the Deep South. Have your experiences been similar to my brother's? Have you had more positive experiences? And how do you navigate it? What does that look like for you? Let's talk about it.
Anyways, welcome back, guys, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys literally enjoyed every single clip I was able to roll out for you guys. And to be honest with you, Mississippi has been one of the places where a lot of horrible things have been done to Black people. When I literally saw the clips of this guy and I listened to him, especially from the first clip that I actually rolled out, where he literally talked about Mississippi, honestly falling back to every single thing that has happened recently and even in the past, it has just been from one horror to another. They said Mississippi, that slavery was not a long time ago that it was abolished. In fact, as it even stands right now, there's a lot of things being carried out still in Mississippi that they obviously do not need to tell you that this is actually the act of slavery still going on in Mississippi. A lot of people have been able to tell a lot of Black people, oh, leave Mississippi. Why are you still there? The question is, if every single Black person leave Mississippi, who will then be a representative of any Black person in Mississippi? I don't know if you guys are getting the point where I am literally coming from. A lot of things have happened that honestly, Black people are just meant to just pack their things and just leave that place for good. But on that thing, I consider it is not every single person that have all of that money to relocate from one state to another. A lot of people are used to a particular certain place because probably they were born and brought up there. Probably they have a job that they are doing there, and of which is putting food on their table. Probably they have their stores, they have their family going on for them there. Probably they have an affordable life there, and they feel like they can literally not live in another city. Now, I'll use myself for example for you, and where I literally grew up. I grew up in Nigeria. Like I said, I've never left Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria, still living in Nigeria all my life till this particular age. And the place I literally grew up in Nigeria is a state called Kaduna. And if you literally hear about this Kaduna, these are the northern part of Nigeria, where a lot of things are being committed, a lot of atrocities, a lot of lynching, a lot of war, and east, west, north, and south, right? Even till date, I kid you not, there's a lot of people that will tell you they can never stay there, they can never visit there, they don't even want to hear anything about them going to that particular place where I grew up, called Kaduna. But still in that particular condition, my dad was able to secure a job for himself right from even before I was born. Apart from that, he was also able to build a home for himself, a house for himself. And comparing where I am currently, because by marriage I moved from that particular state to another state in Nigeria called Port Harcourt. Now, comparing these two places to where I am currently as a married woman, I kid you not, the rate of things that are affordable there cannot be compared here. I can have $2 and eat something good there, but I cannot have $2 and eat something good comfortably where I am. I can have $1,000 or less than $1,000 and pay my whole 1 year or 1 year plus rent, but currently where I stay, I cannot have a whole a whole $1,000 and be able to pay my rent. Where we currently live right now is even way more than $2,000. Okay, but the good part is the moment you pay is like a 1 year thing. You don't need to break it down. Okay, so what am I even saying? $2,000, way more than $3,000, right? So when you compare affordability there, you can't compare it here. Even when my mom came to this place to come visit me when I actually had my baby, I told my mom, move down to this place, let me get a place for you. My mom said she cannot cope, right? My dad also said he cannot cope, that he has something going on with him, and the cost of living here is really, really high. Despite all the atrocities, all the lynchings, all the bad things that have actually been happening there are people you will not tell them to leave and they will leave. I feel like that is the same thing I'm relating to this said Mississippi. If not, as at this point, a lot of black people are just supposed to leave Mississippi for good and say, oh, we are not returning back. But there's a lot of things going on for a lot of them there that they feel like they cannot just leave. The only thing I just want a lot of black people to be doing is learn not to be going out often alone. And please, your clips matters a lot, which is your friends matters a lot. See, you need to know people that literally vibe with you. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, with the rate at which things is going up right now, all malam with his or her kettle, just stay on your lane, stay with your pairs, stay with your race. I don't know why you have to go out or do other things with other people. I know that it is not only by going out that all of this happening, but I feel like there are little things we should try to avoid, because this place has really brought a lot of bad experience to black people right from the days of slavery, even up to this point where we still get people keep being lynched every single now and then. We saw the case of Trey Rail. Now we're seeing a case of another 29 years old woman. It's just a whole lot to mention. If you start mentioning every single thing that happened just this year alone in Mississippi, is a whole lot that we literally cannot deal with. And if you're watching me from Mississippi, I'm sending you hugs. Honestly, I'm sending you a lot of hugs, because I know how it feels for you to be able to be going through whatsoever you're going through right now. I don't know if you think there's any other advice you can give to anybody living in Mississippi. Please kindly drop it in the comment section, as a lot of people will be reading from the comment section. And I hope this video is able to help someone out there. If you don't forget to subscribe, like this video, drop me your comments, and lastly, do not forget to share. I want to say a very big thank you to every single one of you liking, commenting, sharing, dropping super thanks. Also join my membership. I do not take you guys for granted. You guys are absolutely the best. And yes, guys, with that being said, with no further ado, like I always say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye, and I'll see you guys in my next one. For now, bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.